Um, the Piece of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. So, when I first read this poem, I had a few reactions. On the fifth line, that goes, I go and lie down where it would break. I get a feeling like the nature has a very therapeutic effect that you're getting into the nature. You're getting to rest, you're getting to enjoying the listen to the sounds and just look up to the stars and the trees are growing. And another very interesting interaction I have in the poem was the very last line, the 11th line, where it says, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. And I think this can relate to the escape from the reality. This poem is written by Wendell Berry, who is very against the technology we have today. And therefore, I think the very last line gets to a point that when Barry is telling in all of his stories and poems and so on, where you just can get free in the nature by looking and listening to the nature and not thinking about the technology we're doing today. So if we look at the basic informations about these things, is obviously written by Wendell Berry, and it was published in 1968, where we can tell a little bit about the DET. The poem was written at a time when people were first starting to think the ecological effects of DET, but also population growth and environmental damage. The other thing is the Vietnam War and the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy were also as this confusion of the time. When Barry is a man who thinks that we need to take this seriously and think about the real values in our life. So the title of this poem says something of the wild thing with peace. This can be inner or outer peace you can get in the nature by just looking and listening to it. The poem takes place in the real world, in the wild nature, where he are telling many physical settings where like he's going down to the water, he's laying to the trees and just be grace and be free, listening to the sounds and just enjoying the real values of the life. He also thinks that this poem is taking place in the in now, like this time, where he also are thinking about the technology we are doing today. How about we are having this effect on the world by developing many technologies? It ruins nature. We are also losing nature to technology because technology is more efficient than nature itself. But nature was a part of the original world, and therefore he thinks we need to keep it a little bit more. The social aspects of this poem could be the family who's afraid of losing the nature to the technology, where we can tell the father, who is obviously Wendell Berry in this poem, and his kids. The father, who is the speaker, can relate back to Wendell Berry, and he talks about the things nature brings because he wants to set a point on to humans that only thinks that technology is the way ahead, like Donald Trump, for example, who thinks that we need to keep on going in making oil, coal, and gas, while he's not focusing on the green energy to protect the nature. If we look at the poem itself, it's one stanza with about 11 lines, and therefore it doesn't have the grammars. Sorry, it doesn't have a very formal structure where it have right grammar and it has stanza with rhymes and da da da, but it's just falling more like a free writing. So if we look about the informal language as effects of the characters, we can tell that it's using informal language because they're telling about nature. It's not written, sorry, but I think like Wendell Berry wants to give us a more, what can you say, a more message, a poem where he's talking about this nature. If we then look to the message, we can just see that this message would be the realm of the life is not our technology, neither our future, but the things we still have. That could be the ocean we need to protect, that could be the nature, and that could be things we have before technology or old technology that we need to keep on going to have. Therefore, themes could be like, for example, um, human world versus nature world. And that is why we are talking about it, is because we have the human world where they are trying to get the technology up and going. For example, in Dubai, in the desert, they're going to develop a lot in the next coming years, where they for example, have built the Palm Island, and they also built the Burj Khalifa. But when they're doing this, they're also taking away some nature in the area. And this is also happening in South America, where they're making plantations with palms to make palm oil and just removing rainforests. Therefore, this is a very big problem right now, because they are also want to have a new future with technology where Wendell Berry is very against this. Another theme is, for example, healing, because a therapeutic effect that the wellness can have on people can make them happy, they can make them be free. And that is also being said in this poem, actually, so therefore this theme is very good to compare with. And thirdly, the third theme is escapism, and that is because many people have this relief from the stresses of society and high pressure life, where the technology is going, and therefore we're also getting to know that the Sparta in the poem is going to nature and just be free and listen to the grace of the trees growing and to the water that is streaming by and looking up to the stars. So if I want to make an appointment here, I can relate this to his other text called Why I'm Not Going to Buy a Computer, also written by Wendell Berry. In this text, we can do some parallels, because he's talking about that technology shouldn't be the most important thing in our life, but we need to conserve the things we already have. Therefore, I think William Barry is a conservative, because he's a man who really don't know what nature would be like in the future if we keep on developing on the technology. He's a man who thinks that we need to have the real values of life and not focus on the technology that we're developing on right now. And therefore, we need to see like what can we save of the things we have right now and not ruin it like the nature and the ocean. He's a man who could maybe be a man who would like us to do some expectations to see how we can save the world and therefore conserve it. Yes.